Hi everyone, my name's Phil and welcome to PhilDoes3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the US, 11 AM in Australia and 12 AM in the UK. Let's load up 3D Studio Max and continue on with what we were working on Friday. I hope everyone's well. If you've got any questions or you just want to say hi, feel free to pop into chat. Okay. Load up that Max file. All right. At the end of last week, we were working on the top tiles here. We did a little bit of work on the stairwell. Just want to check on the bottom tile. What's going on there? Just going to go into the modify panel and check the channel on that bottom one. Okay. Let's continue on with the top tiles here. I want to do a little bit more work on the outside edge of this where it meets the banister. So I'm just going to start up Murray. Murray can take just a little while to open up. Let's go back to Max for a minute. Okay. Let's open up the top tiles that we were working on in Murray. Murray has this great feature where it shows you images of each of the models you've been working on as a project, so you just have to double click it to open it up. Alright, let's create a new layer, and let's see now, what do I want? Maybe you should work quite well. Just going to rotate that around. I might start at the top and work my way around the outside edge. Just going to scale it down, move it up a bit, and I'm just going to zoom in a bit on this model. Pull that down, I'll scale it up a little bit more, something like, maybe something like that. And start painting it in. I'll bake that down by pressing the Alt key. That's on a Windows PC, of course. We'll rotate that around a little bit, move it here, and paint that down. Bake it down, move it around, rotate the texture, maybe move it down to this end. Just create a bit of variety. Bake it down, rotate that a bit. Okay, rotate that around. That down. Just going to move the model. We'll go there like that. Rotate that back. I'll bake that down. Move the model up a bit. Rotate it around, move it up a little bit, and paint it in. We'll bake that down. Rotate. Move the model. Might rotate that a little bit more. Maybe there like that. I'll bake that down. Don't worry about these hard edges here and the color at the moment. We'll change the blending mode in a sec once we've got it painted out, and we'll see which one looks best. Okay, let's rotate you around. Maybe something like that. that out, bake it down. Paint that in there. And bake it down. Rotate it like that. And maybe up like that. Bake that. And something like that. And bake that down. And something like that, I think. And we'll bake it down. Move the model down a bit. Rotate the texture around a little bit. Maybe there like that. Bake that down. Just going to go over that little area there. Like that. Okay, rotate the texture around and position it maybe there like that. Paint it in and bake it down. And maybe just a bit there like that. And bake that down. And again, I'm just going to go over the little area just here, like that. Paint that in, bake it down, move the model. Maybe there like that. Paint it in. Rotate this around a bit, maybe move it down so there's a bit of more variation in there. Paint that in. And maybe something there like that. Alright, we'll bake that down. We'll pull out a bit on the model. And I'll just move this texture up here out of the way for a minute. Okay, now, what blending mode do we want? Now the question here is, do I want the outside edge to be a lighter color or a darker color? And I'm thinking maybe a darker color might be better. So let's just go to and throw an adjustment stack on and invert. Okay. Maybe something like that, but we'll pull it back a little bit so it's not quite so in your face. A bit like that. Okay, let's keep going and do a little more work on this. Let's see now. What texture? Maybe. Let's throw a new layer on. Let's scale this down a little bit. We'll zoom in a bit on the model. Let's scale this back up a bit. Okay, let's paint some of this in just in bits and pieces. Not the entire edge like we did with the previous layer. Just bits here and there. I'm just going to bake that down. And remember, we're keeping this on a separate layer, so if anything we don't like the look of, we just delete the layer and it's completely gone. Hasn't affected our underlying texture map at all. Maybe a bit in here. Let's see, maybe here, I think. Maybe a bit just in here. And maybe an end piece just here like that. Might go a little heavier here in the corners because you may have got some build up of dirt and grime that's happened because of where the corners are meeting. Maybe here like that. Okay, let's rotate you around a bit and maybe yeah, here like this. Okay, and maybe there like that. And we'll come around the corner a little and maybe put a bit maybe a bit there like that. Hey Jangles Moon, sure. Blender is free 3D software that you can use. It's available on the Blender side. A lot of people use that work with the Unity engine. 3D Studio Max, if you're a student, is free as well. So you can download the 3D Studio Max program if you're a school student. That's definitely worth looking into. But purely free is Blender. I think it's blender.com. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the website address. Okay, we'll just paint a bit in there like that. If you're a student, though, I recommend you download 3D Studio Max. I think Maya is even available if you'd like to use that if you're a student for free as well. Autodesk are pretty good that way. Maybe, no problem. If you ever need any help on anything and I'm streaming, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. I'm happy to help. if I can. Okay, paint that bit through there like that. We'll rotate that around a little bit. Maybe just a bit through there like that. Back that down, hit the Alt key. Okay, we'll rotate it around. Now I'm rotating the texture in Mari using the Control key. Let's see. Let's put one. I don't want it to be too similar to that side, so let's put one around here. Just going to move the model over. Move the texture back over, and I move it by holding the Shift key. I am working on a tile Jangles Moon for a model. I'll show you the model in 3D Studio Max. Let me just save this to be on the safe side before we change programs. This model that I'm working on in 3D Studio Max, which is a garden terrace model. And I'm working on the tile that's up on the top here. I'm just putting a bit of dirt and detail around the outside edge where it meets the outside banisters. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. And once we've done that, we'll probably move on to texturing up, dirtying up the outside of this sandstone wall around the outer edge of the model. All right. Now, okay, around about there, I think. So we'll rotate that about like that, maybe like that. Paint a bit in here. We'll back that down. We'll rotate the texture around, maybe put it about there like that. Okay, we'll bake that down, hit the Alt key. We'll rotate that around, maybe a bit like that. Paint some in here. And bake that down. And the same thing as I've done here, I'm going to add a bit more around the corners here where the two banisters meet, because you'll get a lot of build-up of dirt and grime there. Also bear in mind when you're painting on this texture, this particular one, I have a column. So about that much of the model from here to the edge is the banister bottom, and on these corners I have large columns, not columns, but bases, square bases. So I have to remember on these corners to paint just a bit outside of that if I want it to show up when we're in 3D Studio Max, because that's up here in these corners. You see there's a square base, so I'll have to go a little bit further outside that if I want to be able to see it when I bring the texture into 3D Studio Max. Okay, so let's just start here in these corners. So I get the corner part, the edge part correct to begin with, and then we'll move into the interior a bit more. Okay, we'll just bake that down. And I think for those corner interior edges that that extend past these the base, I'm going to use a different texture. So I'm just going to continue using this texture for the moment until I finish the outside edge. And then we'll change textures and choose a different one for there. So let's just rotate this around a bit. Maybe move it here like this and pop a bit in here. Now this program that I'm using, Jangles Moon as well, if you wanted to use it, it's made by the Foundry, and they have a free version that you can use as well. I don't know if you can use it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that recently they've created a free version of it, so check out their website. I think it's the foundry.com.uk or the foundry.uk. If you search for Mari and the Foundry, you'll find it. Okay, let's just break that down, and I'm just going to save that. Just going to move this texture out of the way, and we will zoom out so I can do some blending on this layer. Again, I'm just going to move that out of the way. Alright, now let's see. We don't want darken. Now add might be good, we'll just pull it back a little. Maybe something like that. We'll create a new layer. Just going to quickly save that file. Now let's see, for those corners, I think we want something a little larger, so let's see what this looks like. Maybe. Let's see if we can't find something a bit better. Now all of these are just alpha maps that I'm using to paint the dirt texture in. You could use a proper RGB texture if you wanted to, but I find for creating a dirt effect that using an alpha map is much easier, much better. It gives a better result. You don't have to be so concerned with blending the texture into the base texture as you do with an RGB texture or a normal texture map. No, not that one. Maybe. Again, I'm working on a new layer. I think I'm working on a new layer. Yes, I'm working on a new layer. Yep. So if I don't like what I've got here, then I can remove it pretty easily. Let's just zoom in onto the model a little bit and get down into that corner. I'm just going to go back to max to sort of eyeball how many tiles that corner takes up for the square, for the column base. So 1, 2, 3, around about 3 either side of the join. So looking at the texture here, I know it's going to be about around about in here, in this section, just in through here. So I can paint that in there like that. I'll bake that down. I'll rotate this texture a little bit and move it into about here. Paint it out to that outside edge. Just move it and paint it. Something like that. I might just paint a bit in here as well. Something like that, and I'll bake that down. I'll move over to the other side. And again, 3 by 3 is around in here. We will rotate the texture around and move it into about here. Paint that in. Like that. We'll rotate the texture around, paint it in maybe like this. You don't have to be exact, particularly with these dirt marks under the bases either, because if they're a little bit different, then that will look much more natural, as opposed to being exactly the same on either side in the same position. So if one's a little larger than the other one, all the better. We'll rotate that around a bit. Might actually use this side of the texture, I think, for this one. We'll paint that in like that. And maybe, yeah, like that a bit, I think. I'm just going to block out the inside with a bit of white, the white part of the alpha map here. Again, this will be completely hidden underneath of the base, so you're not really ever going to see it. Let's bake that down. Zoom out a bit. You see what I mean? I haven't made these completely the same. They're a little bit different. Just move that texture out of the way. Let's play with the blending a little bit. I may do an invert on this one as well, I think. Again, I could make it so it's white underneath, which could be interesting. I'm going to throw an adjustment mask and do an invert on it, and we'll see what the darker one looks like. It's easy to remove the invert if you don't like it. Okay, we want to go to maybe darken. Let's see what multiply looks like. And pull it back. Maybe make these a little darker, something like that. Save that out. I'm just going to have another look at that in max. Okay, we have those two large columns there. The outside edge around here. I'm just going to eyeball this central rotunda, this raised piece here in the middle that I have. We'll see how we go by eyeballing it as to painting a texture around the outside edge. So what I'm going to do is just get an idea of where it is. And it is about 3 in from the edge here. And about maybe 1 or 2 in from the top edge. So it's about 3 in from here and maybe 1 or 2 in from here. So let's throw another layer down. And maybe you. Maybe you. No, not you. No, not you either. Let's see now, it's between you and you. Tough choice. What do you look like? No, that's more of a running texture, running down a wall, which won't really do what we want. So we could even use both of them, but let's start, I think, with this one. Just going to move that here and scale it up a bit. Scale it up. I think I want it darker around the top than the back, so let's rotate it around a bit, maybe like that. Now I'm not looking at the center circle, it's for the size. I'm looking at the outside edge because that's what we'll see.